In this video, you're going to learn how to get so many positive responses in your cold outreach that you realize that everybody else that complains about cold outreach has no product market fit. If you don't know who I am Sergio, founder AxoLeads. AxoLeads is a B2B lead generation agency. We've sent over 1 million cold emails. We've booked hundreds of calls for our clients. We're Smart Lead certified, and we have gotten a ton of great results for our clients, which you can look at some of them on here. Pause if you'd like. But really, in this video, I wanted to focus on two specific campaigns that I launched last week or 2 weeks ago, and these were both for web development offers. What's really interesting and why this is going to highlight the purpose of this video is that the first campaign achieved 25 opted-in leads, and the second campaign got literally 0 leads. If you were to guess, which one of the two do you think had case studies and 20 years or 20 plus years of experience? I'll let you look at the results again. 2,200 sends, 25 positive responses, and in the second campaign, 1,600 leads contacted and 0 people who responded positively. Now, the answer is the one that got 0 leads is the one that had 20 plus years of experience and case studies. This is quite literally the most mind-blowing result I have ever seen with cold email. And more importantly, it validated everything that makes a cold email campaign work. And it also validated the knowledge of what doesn't work. And that's exactly the insights that you can expect from this video, because we're going to be breaking down the exact 2 elements that contributed to these results so that you come out of this knowing exactly how to tweak your emails so that you do get a ton of responses when everybody else is struggling. So right now, if you're not getting leads with cold email, you have to recognize the harsh reality. You have to have no more excuses. You probably do not have product market fit, or in other words, you do not have a good offer. So what this means is you're going to have to forget everything that you thought was going to work, because what's important here is that you want to get calls booked from your outreach. Okay, now let's talk about the 2 offers because it's going to help contextualize this whole thing. Company A, the one that got 0 leads, is a company that had case studies. They had 20 plus years of high profile corporate experience helping Fortune 500 companies, etc. And they are a US company selling to the US market, which makes things a lot easier. So because of that, they did qualify for our offer validation trial, which is basically where we take what your offer is and we reach out to the specific leads. We decided to do a traditional approach for them because they kind of met every criteria that we look for that. So we just chose their best case study. We reached out to the companies that resembled the one from the case study, and we followed all of the best practices in terms of, the length of the email, the softness of the CTA, the readability, all of those kinds of things. Now remember, both of these 2 companies had the exact same offer, but company B, the one that got 25 leads, they were a brand new company. Like quite literally, we were their introduction to the world as a company. Their first client ever is going to come from our outreach. They had no case studies whatsoever, no history or experience to speak of. They're selling to the US market as well, but in this case, they're selling to the US market from outside of the US, which I don't know how much you know about this, but that definitely complicates things because people are a little bit less willing to invest a lot of money there. And then they are selling web development, just like the other person, which, to give more context, web development is considered to be one of the most saturated offers that you can send out, especially in cold outreach. And this is an offer actually that's so saturated that many agencies that kind of take on the more plug and play approach will just not work with, because they kind of know that they're not going to get any results. So there's a lot of front end work that you have to put in for somebody who's probably going to be leaving you 1 or 2 months down the line because of their offer, not necessarily because you didn't put in the work that you said you were going to put in. Okay, so because of all of these things, for company B, they did not qualify for our free trial campaign. They had no case studies. You need to have case studies for us to work with you in this way. And there was absolutely no way that we were going to have a traditional approach for them because it was just never going to work. We couldn't just say, hey, we help these companies, this is who we are. If you'd like to work with somebody to help with your web development, then, let me know. That's just not going to work for a company that has literally no presence in the market. They wanted to work with us anyway because they saw our videos and they liked what we do and they saw that we've gotten great results. So because of that, we decided to offer them our full service offering, which really importantly in this case means that they got offer consultation, and that's what was required for us to kind of put together a lead magnet for them. And basically what we needed in this case was a lead magnet that was going to let the prospects fill in the gaps themselves, the blanks that were there from their offer. So they don't have case studies, they don't have expertise that they can speak of, they don't have a history as a company, they don't have reviews on Clutch, etc. So we need to fill in those blanks for the prospect in order for them to consider our client here. All right, so now you understand the context of these two companies. Now let's get into what was the things that didn't work. And I'm going to start with the first one. In hindsight, there were obvious glaring issues here. And the first one being who we are reaching out to. So yes, they are both web development offers, but there was already a difference here. So company A, the one that got 0 leads, they wanted to reach out to local businesses. So these are businesses that do make money in the local space, like law firms, medical clinics, and home builders. And in contrast to that, company B, the one that got 25 leads, they didn't know who they wanted to work with, but through the offer consultation, we helped them settle on fintech for their first test. So the reason that this matters is that yes, technically company A is helping businesses that typically have worse websites, which therefore you would think would have a bigger need, because they would have a bigger impact on the site's visitors experience by having a better website. So if you've ever been to a custom home builder's website, you might know that it's pretty outdated, a lot of broken things, possibly very bad layout. So they would have a bigger impact on the user experience who visits their websites by getting a professionally done web development redesign. But the really important thing here is that most local businesses don't really care that much about their website, because it's not going to make or break their business. Really, a website for these people is simply a nice to have, and honestly, as long as it's up and running, it has their phone number, their address, and hours, it's honestly pretty much good to go. So making their website state of the art is not going to 10x anything for them. Now let's do the contrast for a fintech company, the sub niche that we decided to start with for the other company. One of the reasons we picked them is that we know that a site optimization can create new users for them from new visitors. And why that's important is, of course, this is how they measure success. Because if you are a brand new fintech company, then you are going to rely on your online presence to develop new users. So you have to have a higher conversion mechanism, a higher conversion rate on your website to convert brand new visitors into new users, because this is the way that you're going to prove to investors that you are worth investing in. This is the way that you're going to get feedback on your product so you can iterate, etc. So this is actually something that can be game-changing for a fintech company. So really importantly, web development isn't something that is necessarily about aesthetically impacting a website. It's about how big of a pain point the website is solving. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's move on to the second and also unbelievably important element to the differences between the two campaign results here. And that is web development. So when it comes to marketing your offer, you need to recognize where you are on the spectrum between a demand capture and a demand generation offer. So a perfect example of a demand capture offer is storm restoration services, because you simply cannot reach out to people asking if they would like their roof fixed from a storm if their roof hasn't been damaged by a storm. If the roof has been damaged by a storm, however, then that's awesome. There is going to be demand there and you can capture that demand. So this is a very clear-cut example of a demand capture offer. On the other hand, though, a demand generation offer is going to be basically anything that's coming out of Y Combinator. It's a solution that you didn't know that existed to a problem that maybe you're having. It's saying something like, do you want a faster horse? We just built one. Can I send you a demo video so that you can see how it works? Which is actually a cold email that I just wrote for Henry Ford's go-to-market strategy. So that's something that's pretty cool there. With an offer like the first car ever, you don't have to do much to generate demand other than just stating that your offer exists. But when people already know that your offer exists, they can simply do a search on Google, or they can ask their network whenever they're ready to buy. So this is a very, very important contrast. So this is obviously a situation that we're in here with web development. Everyone knows that they can get their website worked on, and when they want to address something on their website, they go find a solution themselves to fix it. You can still email them and hope that it's top of mind, and this definitely does work. But generally, this is a volume play, spray and pray, which again, it does work, but there are issues with it, such as the first thing being that you are going to get heavily ignored, which being heavily ignored in 2025 is directly a signal to Gmail that you are sending an irrelevant email that's probably just doesn't really have a place in somebody's primary inbox, aka you start landing in spam. So basically, now you're stuck with this conundrum of, okay, I do offer web development. People already know that that exists. Therefore, it's a demand capture offer. Therefore, I'm not going to get success with cold email. Like, does that mean I shouldn't do this? Like, obviously, that's kind of the conclusion that might come to mind right now. But we just saw the result just a second ago that from 2,200 people that we reached out to, 25 people were interested in this offer. So clearly there is a way to do this. You could get 4 to 5 interested prospects into your offer a day if you know how to position this right. And that's what the rest of this video is going to be about. It's how to create demand where it doesn't exist yet. So how to create a demand from a typically demand capture offer. This is how you find product market fit. This is where you are actually succeeding with cold email. You're getting calls booked, you're meeting with prospects, you're iterating your offer, you're able to offer a bunch of value because you know it works. You have confidence that creating a lead magnet is actually going to be worth your time because you have gotten proof that people have been receptive to your offer. So that confidence is what allows a founder to move forward properly with their company, with their marketing efforts. And this is how you're going to get that confidence. You're going to be able to generate demand where it doesn't exist. You're going to generate demand out of thin air, essentially. So basically, in order to do this, you're going to have to get in the frame of mind of the actual prospect that you are reaching out to. You have to ignore what you thought was your limitations. You have to ignore your own internalized typical filters that you make a decision based off of, which these filters typically are very limiting because they tell you have to do something that's scalable. You have to think about leverage. People think about leverage way before they think about actually solving a problem. First think about solving a problem and then think about how do you scale this thing with whatever leverage you have access to. So essentially what I'm asking you to do here is think about you are a web development agency. What if Jeff Bezos and his resources was selling the exact same thing that you are? They're in the exact same position as you with the same case studies, but with his resources. What would he do? What would be the absolute best way that you could generate demand where it doesn't already exist? Well, in the case of web development, then the number one best thing that you could possibly do for somebody, in this world with no limitations, is that you could build the number one best website that could possibly be built for a company with all of the optimizations for conversion rates. Basically, for example, in the case of a fintech company, let's say somebody is a new payment processing company or option out there, you build them exactly Stripe's website, exactly with all of the optimizations and hundreds of thousands of dollars that Stripe has poured into their website, and you apply it to this company's website and you say, hey, I just built this for you. Would you be interested in that? Obviously, they would be interested in that because they know that Stripe has poured years and years and years of optimizations, of research, and of money and development into building the state-of-the-art website that they have. So them having that for free to check out before they go in and actually buy it is something that they would be stupid to not opt in for. So obviously, I'm not asking you to go make 1,600 specific websites for people, but you can, whenever you think this way, you can think about what would actually get somebody to opt in. In this case, let's say we're reaching out to an AI startup that is looking for funding. So you can kind of identify that. It's like, okay, this is a brand new AI company. Maybe they have some pre-seed investments and they are probably looking to invest their first round of investing their Series A, right? So this is an email that we would reach out to somebody in that exact position. We would say something like, hey, since you're an AI startup, I thought you'd want to do everything you could possibly do to signal to investors that you are worth investing in. One of the things that Acme AI did at the end of last year is optimize their website for UX, and a few months later, they raised $256 million in Series A. Since you're a similar company, I made you a website following all of their best practices, optimized to help you do the same. Would you like to see it? So obviously, this is something that is going to be extremely relevant and very attractive to this particular AI startup because it's so specific to the situation that they are in. And obviously we worked with our client to make this be something that we could send for them. So real quick, why does this work? Well, they don't have any case studies, so they can't say something like, hey, we helped this other company do this. As you could see in the email, we're not saying that we were the ones that built Acme AI's website. We're just saying Acme AI did this thing, and then a few months later, they achieved the goal that you are probably looking to achieve. So we can help create a shortcut here for you to get in that same position by having done this for you, right? So this is something that you can do with no case studies because you are not suggesting that you're the one who did this for Acme AI. They don't have anything about previous results that they've accomplished. They don't specifically talk about what skill sets that they have in the email because they don't really have skill sets that they can speak of, or it's pretty commoditized skill sets. Instead, we are identifying where the prospect is and precisely how you can help them achieve what they are looking to achieve with your service. So obviously, we're not suggesting that because they are going to get a new website, you are going to be able to raise $250 million in funding. But this is something that somebody else did. So, you guys keep focusing on your product. We are going to do our part in helping you raise that money by creating a website that is actually optimized for these investors and for new users, etc. And that's something that we can walk them through in the process, right? And that's exactly what we did. All right, TLDR, the first thing that I want you to take away from this is that this is basically just the most recent glaring example that we've seen of why you do get positive responses and why you don't. So people who try the more traditional method of cold email will be the ones that tell you that cold email is dead. But the people who figure it out and try to do something that is actually uniquely valuable to the prospect is going to get results like the other one. 25 positive responses for web development, a brand new company that doesn't exist and doesn't have any case studies, is actually insane when you talk about this being a span of just 2 weeks. The main takeaway here is that it's your offer. It's always been your offer, and it's okay, obviously, to get your offer wrong. I've gotten it wrong dozens of times. Obviously, I got it wrong in the case where we got 0 leads from a campaign that we ran. But it's better that you apply these learnings, trying something new instead of beating your head against the wall, blaming marketing channels for your own issues because you just watched somebody's YouTube video with their copywriting best practices. You applied it to yourself, got 0 positive responses. The reason that copies from somebody else's templates doesn't work is because it is always going to be specific to your offer and what you are willing to do for your prospects. Somebody writing copy for you is not going to be the person that's going to be able to develop these really, really compelling offers for you. You're the one that's going to have to be willing to do that stuff, but you also have to make sure that you put yourself in the mindset of the prospect of you are a stranger that's emailing them. They didn't ask to be emailed by you. They are not necessarily on the market. How do you get them on the market? You have to offer something that is incredibly compelling to them, that addresses what problems they are trying to address themselves and how that pertains to the service that you're offering. If you are able to do that, then you are going to get the results of company B here. And if you have case studies, you can do even better. If you have content, you'll do even better. But this is a company that has literally 0 online presence. They have no case studies, and they were still able to get these results. So action step number 1 here is put yourself in the shoes of your prospect. Send yourself the email that you are intending to send them and ask yourself, is this actually a great offer? When you see this email that you are planning to send to somebody in your own Gmail account, it's kind of a really good way to reckon with reality, because whenever you're just sitting there on Google Docs kind of coming up with drafts, you can think you have a good idea, but seeing it in email, in Gmail, amongst all the other cold emails that you might see, you will be able to really see if this is a good email or not. Action step number 2, if you are afraid to commit, this is kind of a hack here. If you want a cheat code, if you're afraid to commit to actually creating a great lead magnet, if you don't have confidence that this is going to be something that's going to move the needle for you, then just test the market with a few hundred leads. If you truly have a great offer, a few hundred leads is going to be enough that you're going to be like, wow, clearly this is going to be a great lead magnet. So what I'm suggesting here is create a list of 200 people, reach out to them with a lead magnet that doesn't necessarily exist, send 3 or 4 ideas to like 200, like each idea to 200 different leads, and let them know that you've developed these lead magnets. If they're starting to get great traction, then congratulations, your idea has product market fit. You are one of the rare cases of people who have actually developed an offer that people want. And now you can go and make it happen with all of the confidence in the world that when you have created this thing, you can send it to 2,000, 10,000 people, and they're going to be interested because you have just tested the market and you tested it against 3 or 4 other amazing ideas, and this one was the one that really spoke to people. So you go out there and make it happen. Action step number 3, don't limit yourself to exactly what people are already doing. And I don't mean that by like going and trying to reinvent the wheel. If you are offering something that's in a saturated space, then the space is saturated because there is demand. So that part is good. Now, amongst the people offering a solution in this saturated space, now you have to set yourself apart by providing a solution or a framing that nobody else is offering. So you just have to angle it in a way that speaks to them. Instead of saying that you got this great case study where you increased conversion rates by 14.7% for a company that was similar to you with this web development thing, you can say how this web development actually aligns with the specific goal that they're looking to achieve. And a really big part of angling in a way that speaks to somebody is not just the product, but the market. So it's product market fit. You might have an amazing product, but if the market is not the right people to be reaching out to for this product, then you're going to think that your product sucks when it actually doesn't. If you're reaching out to lawyers about a website redevelopment instead of reaching out to fintech companies, clearly there's going to be a mismatch in interest rate because they are not going to perceive the same level of value from this website. And then finally, action step number 4, you can actually see 20 word for word emails that we sent to cold prospects that turned into booked calls, both for ourselves and for our clients. And it's actually linked below the video. You can look at that. Here's an example of one that we sent out. So if you like this and you want to see 19 more like it, we have that linked in the description below where you can see the email that we sent out. You can see how they responded, and we break down exactly how this email was developed and why it worked.